Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Monday morning meditation. How are we today? So today brings us to a topic that is quite dear to my heart. I had a request from someone in Ohio, all the way over there, asking about a meditation session that could support them through flying on a plane. And that comes from a space of supporting them through some anxiety. So, it's something that anxiety is the reason why I got into meditation in the first place. So all of those years ago, I'm 31 now, and when I was 19, I went through quite a debilitating time for about 3 years of anxiety, and it was anxiety that brought me to meditation. So, although anxiety is an absolute shit, it was one of probably the worst times in my entire life. It was a time where I felt like I literally had the thought that I was going to die. And that was every single second of every single day, unless I was completely distracted by something. It was just shit. It was horrible. I literally thought I was going to die of a heart attack, and that was just flat out every single second of every day. And for a 19-year-old, that was, for any age, but yeah, it was a vulnerable time, and it was confusing, and I felt quite alone for a fair while until I actually worked out what anxiety even was. I didn't really have an understanding of what anxiety even meant, or the feelings that it could make you feel. And the feelings that it was making me feel were so physical. They weren't just a thought or a feeling. They weren't just a thought that it was going on in my head. It was so pronounced that it was causing me to have physical reactions, physical pain in my chest, which is very common with anxiety. Physical pain throughout my arm, and most of the time it was my left arm, which is generally a what do you call it? The thing when you're potentially having a heart attack is pain in your left arm, and all of these things that I had manifested physically into my body because of how prominent that my anxiety was. So yeah, it was such a horrible, terrible time. I remember being at the kitchen table so many times at my parents' house and literally reaching over the table and grabbing onto my mum and just asking, screaming at her to help me, while I was clutching my chest. And I've sort of I haven't blocked the memory out of my head of anxiety or anything, but it's something that it's been quite a time now that just to recap, going through, writing down some notes about anxiety and what all the experiences that I went through, really tapped me back into that space. And it's just wow, I really went through all of that stuff, and it was such a hard time. And I guess after a while I started telling a few friends, and obviously I told my parents, my girlfriend at the time. It was embarrassing, because it's what do you mean you feel like you're having a heart attack, and what do you mean you feel these pains in your chest? Are you crazy? What's going on with you? And it was embarrassing. It's I don't know. I literally thought I was going crazy for quite some time. So anxiety is this silent little bastard that it affects so many people. It affects so many people, and we just do not talk about it. It's so crazy. We just need to talk about it more. It helps to talk about it. It helps so much, because when you do talk about it, first of all, you're expressing how you're feeling. So that's going to help. That's going to help straight up anyway. Instead of bottling it all inside, expressing those feelings, expressing even the finer details of your anxiety, the real embarrassing thoughts that are happening. it makes you feel a little more normal, because pretty much 100% of the time when I was telling people, whether that be a parent, whether that be a partner, a friend, a counselor, or a healer, whoever you feel comfortable with talking about your anxiety, it makes it a little bit more normal, because you realize very quickly that other people go through this stuff all the time. And other people have crazy thoughts, and other people have those physical manifestations that happen within their body when they're having either a panic attack or those physical manifestations can be the little trigger that actually allows your anxiety to snowball into a full-blown panic attack. And I guess your anxiety deserves the time and the dedication to actually find out a little bit more about anxiety and what it can do, what it means for you. It definitely deserves the time for you to find out what your triggers are. And triggers be the little thing that happens, the thought, the external thing, whatever your trigger is something that triggers your anxiety to skyrocket and to snowball into something greater than just a simple little thought. So yeah, your anxiety definitely deserves to find out what those triggers are. That's probably number one, if not talking to someone and just letting them know where you're at, because being silent about it is not the best way to do it at all. If those triggers aren't for your highest good, literally just remove them. So there's two sides to this. Obviously, if your trigger is with, say, eating a particular food, and it's a food that is good or whatever, you're not going to remove that food from your life. And also, I guess you don't want to remove that food because you're sort of not dealing with the anxiety. What I meant by that is, for myself, in my experience, my trigger was smoking weed. So when I was 19, I was smoking a hell of a lot of weed. It was making me paranoid. It was making me anxious, and it was on a session one night where my anxiety just went absolutely out of control. I was taken to the hospital. I had a drip put in my arm. I had an oxygen mask put on, and they gave me a Valium, and I stayed in the hospital for a few hours until I calmed down, and I left just riddled with anxiety. So for myself, removing weed was a good thing. I did it again 2 weeks later, had another session, and exactly the same thing happened. So that's why I removed it, because that was a catalyst for my anxiety to just go nuts. And if those triggers are something that you do have to remove for a little while and maybe can introduce later, I don't smoke weed now, but if it's something that's just maybe a bit more normal, or a bit more in everyday life, perhaps, obviously you can reintroduce things. I'm not saying never smoke weed or anything, but it's everyone's own journey, and I just don't feel like that's the best fit for my life at the moment, or probably ever. Sorry, I was just reading a couple of notes. Try something that supports your anxiety. It is so important to support your anxiety. Your anxiety deserves compassion from you. Instead of pushing your anxiety away, it's so much more beneficial to stop, just take a check on your situation and come at your anxiety from a place of love instead of coming from a place of fear, because I know my anxiety was just riddled with fear. And I mean, that's what anxiety, that's what it is fear. So pushing your anxiety away is just not going to serve you. Really just coming from a place of love and giving yourself compassion on all levels, it's just going to do you the world of good with anxiety. Meditating. that's what we're here for. That's what I'm all about. That's what helped me through my anxiety. So meditating is number one for me, coupled with spiritual healing or Reiki, a type of energy healing. They're the two things that really pulled me out of my anxiety. It wasn't instant for me. Everyone's journey is different. I have many people who come to my classes, and some of them literally come for 1 or 2 sessions and they walk out a different person from their debilitating anxiety. People who call me and are crying on the phone to me, who have just the most intense anxiety, which is, speaking to them, going through what they were experiencing sounded exactly what I was going through. And for them to, come along for a few sessions and be not totally healed by any means, but, on a very, very good trajectory for, not being anxious anymore, I'm just blown away, because my journey took me probably 3 years to get through that. It was such a long time. When you're in it, when you're in the thick of it, and it just continues and continues, it's the shittest thing in the world. And I was going to a weekly meditation class. Sometimes I was having weekly energetic healing sessions, because that's just what I needed to support me to get through that time. Meditating at home versus meditating in a class with anxiety. Obviously, going to a class with anxiety is something that can be quite a trigger from the get-go. Sitting in a room with 15, 20 people, whatever it looks like, that can be claustrophobic. It can set off your anxiety. I've had people scream out at me when everyone's quiet at the very start of the class, saying, "I got to get out of here," because that was the first time for them and their anxiety was taking over. Those people stayed because I had a good chat with them. But yes, being in a class can be quite confronting. But allowing yourself that space and time to just feel into that space and into that time, you will... I truly believe, obviously meditating at home is fantastic, but meditating in a class, for example, myself, my very first class that I went to, I met one of my best friends, and she was going through anxiety. She was going through pretty much exactly the same stuff I was going through. Hers was not feeling like she was going to have a heart attack. Hers was to do with feeling sick, and that was the catalyst for her. That was one of her triggers. Feeling sick gave her anxiety, and we bonded over anxiety. And you know what? The first time in a long time, I actually felt normal. So, and I had someone to, bounce our anxiety ideas off of, and just hang out with, and that relationship and friendship, we're still best friends, and I mean that's been a long time, and it's, if you can meet someone that's going through something like you, a like-minded person, there is no greater support than that. There truly isn't. Especially if you're both working towards healing your anxiety. Your anxiety definitely deserves commitment. So for myself, as I said, weekly meditation class. I was going to a weekly healing class. Weekly healing session. I mean that's potentially excessive, but sometimes I just need that. That wasn't every week for 3 years, but that for quite some time I needed that. What else have I got here? I guess with meditating, you start to soften your reactions to the external. So, what that did for me, that softened my triggers. So the things that set my anxiety off, and that ultimately just softened my anxiety. And one day I literally woke up after 3 years of anxiety, and my anxiety was just gone. It just went. And you know what? Sometimes it popped its head up every once in a while. If I was potentially, I was going through my mid-20s, or early and mid-20s, if I was drinking, if I was smoking back then, those sort of things that weren't for my highest good. If I was doing that sort of stuff, especially the next day, feeling a little shady, that would show my anxiety to me and just show me what areas I needed to work on. So I truly believe that anxiety is there's a lesson for us in all of our anxiety. No matter how it looks, it's anxiety is asking us to raise our vibration. Now, whether that's getting rid of something in your life, or whether that's changing the way you think, softening your thoughts, just being kinder to yourself, anxiety is definitely here, unfortunately, but to show us a lesson. So I think that is pretty much all I've got to say about anxiety. I know this session is definitely going to blow out, probably longer than half an hour, but it's an important one to me, and I think it's an important one to so many people. So I think I mentioned at the start of this session that the person who has requested this session was they're about to fly on a plane in a couple of weeks, and that's actually the reason why, with my anxiety, that I started meditating. Was because I had booked a holiday to the Gold Coast in Australia, and I was going to fly on a plane and go away for about a week, and my anxiety was going out of control, and I just thought, how the hell am I going to sit on a plane, let alone enjoy the rest of my trip with this anxiety? So I went to a meditation class. So that's why we're here today, because we're going to help someone, and hopefully help a lot of people. But we're going to help this person in particular who requested, and thank you so much for requesting this session. And I encourage all of you to, if you do have something that you're going through, no matter how ridiculous it may sound, I can always weave a little bit of magic into my sessions for you, because that's why we are here, for you. So without further ado, I'm going to have a sip of my cup of tea. And we're going to get started. Alrighty, so if everyone wants to just gently close over their eyes, and I'm going to take some 3 deep, beautiful breaths. Leaving your eyes just gently closed over. Just placing some awareness on the pressure that you are adopting to close your eyes. And just allow that pressure to be soft. And just taking some deeper breaths in, right down deep into your belly. Sending that oxygen way down the very base of your belly. I know for myself, this is a space where I held a lot of anxiety, and sometimes it was very hard to breathe into that area. But breath by breath, I just want you to stay with me in this space, to breathe a little further down each time, whether it be centimeter by centimeter or millimeter by millimeter. Just breathing that breath down past your belly button and easing it into your lower abdominal muscles, into your stomach, and opening that area. Breathing into any nervous feelings, any nervous energies, any anxiety that you are feeling in this space. It is okay to feel those feelings here, as you are safe. You are completely safe. And you are so loved within this space for showing up here today. And just like a humongous scoop, I want this breath to flow down into these energies within your stomach. Any butterflies, any ill feelings. And on your exhale, with a big open mouth, I want you to sigh all of that energy outward. Just hearing that noise of relief, of release. And take in 2 more deep breaths like this. Really breathing it in and sighing it out. And in that space, just feeling that every single thing, emotion, every single feeling, every single energy form that does not serve you for your highest good is released into this space. Into the air, into the wind. Just set it free. Set it free into this morning light, this supportive, beautiful morning light. And allow that gorgeous breath to melt through the rest of your body. Through your shoulders, through your arms, through your hands. Down each vertebrae of your back. Through your hips, through your pelvis. Down through your legs. Your knees, your shins, your calves, your feet. And breathing down out through the soles of your feet. I want you to energetically tap roots into Mother Earth. So Mother Earth is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, supporters through anxiety. A connection with her allows you to stay grounded. It allows you a space to feel so nurtured, so cared for. A space where you can release all of that anxiety, all of those feelings simply just by touching her. And whether that be whipping your shoes and socks off and planting your feet upon the earth, it's opening up those channels to release that anxious energy. And touching the ground with your hands, or even breathing in the beautiful oxygen from her. You can find ways in every moment to connect to Mother Earth, to release your anxiety, and to feel that support. And this morning we're going to call upon Spirit, we're going to call upon the universe. I'm going to ask to connect each and every one of you to an energy from the highest realms of this universe. Connect into Source. And if you'd like to see, feel, or imagine a beautiful golden white light pouring down from the highest realms down into the crown of your head. And see that light beaming into your body. Like a flashlight, that light beams down through every fiber, every cell, the spaces between your cells. And see this light as a healing light, a calming, cleansing, purifying light, which supports each part of you, each facet, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your physical body, your energetic body, your spiritual body. And into this light, pose the question. And that question being, what is the lesson I'm to learn through this anxiety? How can I heal through this anxiety? Please show me the way, light the way, send me the guidance, the support to heal this anxiety. And wherever you feel that anxiety normally, whether you're feeling it right now, or if you simply just know where that anxiety shows up for you. If you're sitting, if you're lying, whatever you're doing, I want you to have your hands wide open. And through those hands, I want you to send that golden white light directly into that anxiety. And this light is unconditional love, the purest, most highest form of energy that we know. And whether you're sending into your head, whether you're sending that into your heart, your stomach, whatever part, if there's a dull or dense energy that you feel within a particular limb or muscle, send it there. This energy ultimately knows where to go anyway. But your intention just makes it that much more powerful. I just want you to sit for a minute, channeling this light into you, allowing that self-love, allowing yourself this moment just to be. To be in that light. And through that light, it's feeling that stagnant, dense, darker energy, however you see that energy of anxiety. And seeing it melt, seeing it soften. And that dense and darker energy is replaced by light. It's uplifted through the light. I'm feeling that anxiety soften through that love, through that support. Feel those triggers soften. The volume upon these triggers. It's winding back those dials. Winding back the anxiety. Your adrenal glands soften, your nervous system. It turns down that noise. And in that space, just connecting to how you feel. The lightness of your body. the freedom within your thoughts, the release of those physical manifestations. And just know that this space is the space that you can return to any time. This is the space that you deserve. This is the space that you were born with. And unfortunately, your anxiety has been learned. And is now an energy that you journey with for a moment, but learn to uncover, learn to dig deeper, and learn to remove. And you will come out the other side so much stronger, so much more powerful, so sure. You'll be anxiety free. And then it's your turn to share the light with others who are experiencing exactly the same thing. And just allowing that energy, that golden white light, to settle now. And taking in 3 deep, beautiful breaths. Breathing in as deep as you feel, and releasing as loud as you wish. No one's listening. The healing is all in the release. So releasing that into the room, into the wind, into the morning light once more. And coming back when you feel ready into your body, just allowing the awareness to build. And feel that awareness building through your fingers, through your toes, through your ears, your nose. Breathing in anything in the room, maybe some essential oils that you have in a diffuser or on your body. Maybe some incense, maybe a candle. Maybe you can smell someone cooking you breakfast. And just gently moving into the space, moving through your body, stretching into your body exactly how you feel that you need to this morning. And I welcome you all back here into this space, into your body, into your anxious-free body or anxiety-free body. And you're more than welcome to open your eyes and come back completely into this space. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I've really enjoyed this session. Yeah, you guys are so awesome. I'm going to finish it off with a Namaste. My heart honors your heart. My soul honors your soul. Just a quick mention, a deity or an energy that helped me so much through my anxiety was basically the female Buddha, Quan Yin, and she is an energy who is the mother of compassion for women and children, and she is humongous on helping with anxiety. She has this amazing, beautiful, soft pink energy, and she sits upon a dragon, and she walks with confidence and fearlessness. And yeah, I don't know if I know some people on here today are from Adelaide, and there's about a 20-meter statue down at Selix Beach that we have looking out over the ocean. And yeah, when I saw that going up, that was just like, yeah, it was quite emotional because of how much she had helped me through my anxiety. If you are going through anxiety and you haven't heard of Quan Yin, definitely have a read into her. I used to carry around a little brass statue about maybe 4 centimeters tall that I bought from a hippie shop. And yeah, every time I felt anxiety, I would place my hand in my pocket. I also had a rose quartz in there, which is all about self-love, compassion, and helps with anxiety. And I'd hold those two things. They were two anchors in my pocket that would bring me back from that space, that anxiety. So yeah, have a read, have a Google into her. If she's someone that who resonates with you, then maybe just have a look a little further. There's so many different tools and supports with anxiety. Sometimes they're in places which are may not seem so what do you call it, so obvious. So yeah, it's just all about feeling into what feels good for you, what resonates. But thank you so much, guys. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I'll see you again soon. Obviously, I'll be posting this one up on YouTube tomorrow if you would like to check back in with it, because it's something that can heal over and over again. So thank you, guys. Have a great morning. Bye-bye.